Oh, this Masters. Great chance here! That does it! Steve McGavin! And for the first time, Colchester United have won a major final.
Still Garcia, finally the company arrives and it's in! It's a freak-out goal from Ricardo Carvalho. Richard Garcia wants the credit and the shock is on at the bridge.
And it's promotion for Colchester United. They've made it into the Championship for the first time in 69 years.
Porter, being held, there is Porter, and it's Mocker!
Hello and welcome to this special edition of the Beyond the Barside podcast, Beyond the Barside Meets, which is a monthly bonus episode where Colchester United fans get to hear from legends of the Colchester United sphere. And it is our first episode where I am joined by former player, manager, and Colchester United double winning legend, Mr. Roy McDonough. I was absolutely buzzing for Roy to come on and talk about his career on the podcast. When we started formulating the podcast, I'd written a list of names down and Roy was right at the very top of it. So for him to be our first guest was brilliant. Technical issues were a little bit of an issue for that episode. We're going to do the call over Zoom. Technology didn't really allow us to do that. We tried FaceTime, we tried Teams, we tried all of the different ways of getting the video podcast done. In the end, we actually spoke over the phone, and I held a dictaphone to the phone and then heavily edited the audio to try and get the sound quality up to scratch. The first 5-10 minutes or so wasn't really that clear, so I've started from about 5-10 minutes in where Roy's talking about the beginning of his career at Birmingham City. But it's a very, very insightful chat. It's a very funny chat, and Roy gave me loads and loads of his time, particularly when we were trying to get the technology sorted. So I really appreciate Roy and really appreciate you guys for tuning into this podcast. And there's also a link in the description to Roy's book, Red Card Roy. So without any further ado, our first Beyond the Barside Meets is Mr. Roy McDonough. Thinking back to, you were Villa schoolboys, then went over to Birmingham, strike partnership with Sir Trevor Francis, and you scored in your second appearance. You scored.
Yeah, QPR, and you know what? Again, I was only 18. Last game of the season, the two centre backs for Queens Park Rangers, no more than David Webb, Frank McClintock.
Mm-hmm.
Frank McClintock's last ever league game, and I scored a far post header with about 10 minutes to go. Phil Parks, the goalkeeper, made it 2-2. And I mean, the local radio is it's called the Pink and the Argus, all across the Midlands. That weekend was the last game of the season. The Saturday after, which was the last edition till the next football season, they did that for worth $250,000.
Wow.
1977.
I mean, $250,000, 1977. I mean, that is, you're probably looking at nearly 5-10 million now in sort of today's market.
You know, if I said this, you know, listen, if I said to you, I was a sub goalkeeper. I played in goal about 8 times in goal in the Football League. I played right back. I played centre half, right side, left side. I played left side midfield. I played centre midfield for Sir Bobby Moore at Southend for half a dozen games. Mm-hmm. And I was a target man centre forward, would score a few goals, but would create, my assist mate would be off another scale these days. And I'm thinking, how much would you pay for a player like that these days? They were 6'1". In my early days, I was a runner, 6'1", and was aggressive. I wonder what that would cost now.
I mean, yeah, and the fact that you're English as well, that always puts a couple of million on a player. It's interesting to see, quite what you'd go for in today's market. So Sir Alf Ramsey was manager at Birmingham for a spell. Is that right?
20-odd games, I think.
Yeah.
I think it was either Freddie Goodwin or Willie Bell got the sack.
Mm-hmm.
Alf took over. And Aaron, what a great line to an 18-year-old kid. The first training session, he came on the training ground, Damson Lane, Birmingham, by the airport, knee-deep in mud and whatever else. And at the end of the training, he pulled me. He went, Roy, lovely man, one gentleman. Well, you got a minute. I went, what's he doing there? What's Sir Alf doing there? He said, well, just to let you know, you're in my first team squad on Saturday. I'm going to Middlesbrough away. You're in my full first team squad because I think you're a jolly good footballer. And I just, I fucked off with anything of it at the time. Then when I went home and spoke to my mum and dad and my brothers, then you sort of realise what had just gone on. He's a player.
Yeah. I mean, and, you know, the things that he'd done in football at that time as well, you're 18 years old at the time. I mean, you must be on cloud nine. You must be floating the whole way home once you hear something like that from someone. It's incredible. What was he like to work with as like a coach? Did you find it? Yeah.
He didn't have to do it. The coach who actually, he stitched me up really looking at my career. I signed a 3-year contract with Jim Smith at Birmingham the season up when Smithy took over. But there's a lad called Ken Oliver, a Geordie boy. He was an ex-centre forward, about 5'10". And he under Sir Alf was first team coach.
Mm-hmm.
He ran the reserves, which I was in reserve for 18 months, whatever. He left Birmingham City when Jim Smith came because Jim brought in Norman Bodell, which again, it's funny. Norman Bodell was a right pretty boy, right handsome bastard. Whenever we went away anywhere, he'd pull birds for Jim Smith. Big, fat, bald-headed northerner, whatever, right? So it didn't look that great, did it? But looking back, when Ken went to Warsaw, within 2 weeks I'd signed for Warsaw.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to what he said about Sir Alf, and he goes back to Sir Bobby Moore, because Bobby Moore was a Sir all day long. You cannot be a gentleman, really, as the years wore on, and be successful in football. Sir Alf is too much of a gentleman. We played Man United, first game of the season under him, I think, or second game, Old Trafford. I'm 13th man in the squad, blah, blah, blah. At 10-3, 12 minutes to 3, he walked in the dressing room.
Mm-hmm.
A navy blue pinstripe suit, brown brogues. He looked like blooming the Prime Minister. He picked up a ball and he bounced it to Howard Ken. In fact, I was there, obviously. I was 13th man. Bounced the ball to Howard Ken. He said, gentlemen, go out and do what you do best. Go out and play football and make sure you enjoy yourself. We won 2-1. Now, you look at today, you got 35 dickheads on iPads, fucking iPhones. I don't know, you got all these videos and they go, right, do this. You think, mate, I'm a professional footballer. I was good enough at 12, 13 to come through the ranks to make it as a professional footballer. You're not an idiot because you know the game.
Mm-hmm.
And as you learn more about the game, and you think you've got these idiots on iPads. Hold on, mate. Who do you play for? Fucking nobody. Well, don't fucking tell me that. Because when you walk on the pitches of professional footballer, Aaron, you know the game inside out. If you're a right back, you know everything you need to do as a right back. Left side midfield, I'll sit in when the right side Bex goes down the right hand side out wide. I'll tuck in then. Can't break down the left hand side like Bex as well because we'll leave us wide open. Little things in your mind as a pro, and when you learn the game it's second nature. So I don't need some prick with an iPad telling me do this, do that, do that, because you don't need it because you're a professional fucking footballer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what do you think about, you've mentioned it with the state of sort of the sports science, performance analysts and all this sort of stuff. What do you think about the state of football now with sort of the way teams set up to play and the way kids are sort of brought through? It's night and day compared to what you must have had as a player and a manager.
Well, it's horrible. Let's be honest, it's horrible. You've got these 35 idiots, and there's a thing around just you ran that far. Yeah, but mate, I might only run twice. Like a brilliant line from Dimitar Berbatov. He was on a podcast and he said, people said you was a bit, you just trot about and you drift in there. Like Teddy Sheringham was a great player. Aaron, I was a drifter. I never ran because if you run and burst into areas, you attract attention.
Mm-hmm.
So defend get attracted to the attention. And like Marky Tyson, Dimitar Berbatov, he said, why would I run? I can walk in there. I can drift in there. He scored umpteen goals of great quality He said, I didn't need to run. Aaron is clever.
Mhm.
These wank now with their iPads, you didn't run them times. Yeah, but I've just scored a fucking hat-trick with top quality finishes, great technique. Excuse me, who the fuck are you? But that's where the game, honesty, heart, the genuine ethos or the genuine feel of the whole game shot to pieces.
Mhm.
I don't watch it now. I watched Man City last year. They took 10 years. They dominated the Premier League. Pep, home and away, sets up to win in his style. And all the wankers went. They're all millionaires. Arteta, £12 million a year, basic wage. He parks the fucking bus.
Mhm.
Have the bollocks to set your team up to go and beat that team the same way. When you win the ball, go and play forward. Be clever. Play in areas. Break them down. You've played with you've worked with your players all week to build up to the game Saturday. Trust your players. Trust your players' decisions. Trust their ability. There's the ball. Sir Alf Ramsey at Old Trafford. Go ahead and do what you do best. You professional footballers, and make sure you enjoy yourselves. Trust your fucking players.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I think it's one of those things. There's too many cooks, so to speak, in the modern game. Nobody really can go on their gut anymore. There's too much data for people to actually form an opinion for themselves. Going back to you, of course, you mentioned you went to Warsaw after Birmingham, and then you ended up at Chelsea for a spell, and you joined Colchester United for the first spell in 1981. And a quote I have in front of me is, you said, "What division are we in?" Is that right?
Yeah. I've got that Chelsea. Doncaster, Billy Brenner came in for me. Cardiff City, Bristol City, and Colchester. I'm like 20, 21, I think, whatever at the time. I've got my car outside. I drove to Stamford Bridge, picked up all my boots. All the girls are crying. I'm leaving. Where are you going? I said, I don't know, but I'm going. The nearest thing on the map was Colchester, like an hour, half 2 hours down the A12. So I drove down there, sat with Bobby Roberts, the chairman. I can't remember. What was his name, the chairman then? I should know his name. And the club secretary. Within half an hour, signing on fee, I thought, drinking batches. Because in my mind, Aaron, when I went to Chelsea from Warsaw, I'd spent a couple of years in the Football League, got booted from pillar to post, but scored a few goals and got a name for myself. Chelsea under Sir Geoff Hurst, one of the biggest dickheads I've ever come across in football, with Bobby Gould, Fred Carno circus, mate. And I'm a 21-year-old battling to get back in the game to get a reputation myself after 2 years at Warsaw. And it was like Fred Carno circus. I only lasted about 7 months, but I got in my car, just left a 4-year contract on good money and walked out the door. These days, well, you give me like 100 grand and I'll leave. My contract was worth, it was worth about 150 grand over the 4 years. I left a penny. Couldn't get out of the building quick enough because Chelsea was like a fucking circus. When I left from Lyle Road, I went to Mark's Tate. I was in Mark's Tate for about 13 months. And I remember picking up the Evening Gazette thinking, I've just signed a 2-year contract here. What fucking division are they playing? It was third division and we got relegated. An hour back and you think, what were you doing?
But as you say, I mean, as you say, you're walking away from a 4-year deal worth, nearly 150 grand. It'd be unheard of in today's game. Players would try and squeeze clubs for everything they've got. And ultimately, they're not thinking about themselves or getting back onto the pitch and playing every week. They're thinking about sort of their back pocket and what they can make out of the game. Your first spell at Colchester, I read a little bit that there was an incident with Terry Butcher where you took him out to a couple of pubs. And is it called The Pirate?
Yeah. It was the Bodicea. I don't know what's called Bodicea. We was in there on a lunchtime session about me, Steve Wright, Charlie Wright. I think Phil Cotton was there, Russell Cotton. And we just up on a Tuesday afternoon, a bit of an all day really, because we used to do that. We had Wednesday off. And Terry Butcher walked in with Russell Osman. They stopped in Colchester, driving to London to go on England duty. And we were playing spoof. And they had a couple of beers, and before you know it, they all got carried away. And Terry was fucking useless, Smooth, useless. And I used to pride myself. I was good, Aaron. I was always wanted to be the best at anything. And anyway, cut the story short, Terry's forfeit was, he had to we'd been there about 3 or 4 hours during the afternoon. The doors had just opened because we had a lock-in. And the doors had just opened, so a few public were around. And his forfeit was he had to strip bollock naked, put his left hand over his left eye, and hop around the whole pub bollock naked. Which good old Terry did it. Bless him.
You wouldn't have that now, would you? You wouldn't see a player, even like an Ipswich player and a Colchester player, knock about in a pub after a game or during the week, let alone strip down and jump round the bar with one hand over the eye.
I was laughing. But this is where we spoke a bit earlier. The heart, the honesty, the genuine type of players that the fans love, that wear their heart on the sleeve and put their head in and get smacked in the head and win balls, blah, blah, blah. There's not a single one in the Premier League I can think of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is sad. Sad.
The closest sort of player that you've got to sort of that character in terms of will go out and be themselves and have a bit of a personality off the pitch is potentially Jack Grealish, but even then he gets ostracised for doing that, so it seems like there's no place for it in the game anymore.
Well, when you think he's been at Man City, he's done a great job, all the idiots on Facebook and the media digging at his saying this, that, in 100 million, he was one of the key players that won the treble.
Mm-hmm.
He was instant, he's an instigator, assists, scored 7, 8 decent goals. But whenever he got the ball, like Pep said, he never gave the ball away. He kept it or won you a free kick.
Mm-hmm.
And over a season, free kick comes in, goal, head up, because the defenders don't mark anymore. So you cross it anywhere near the penalties. What you're going to score because no one fucking defends. But Jack the Maverick,
mm-hmm.
and the way Pep play, and Pep's dominated the Premier League for 10 years, it's about for 15, 16 years, whatever. Pep's going to change this year because everyone's used to what they've done there.
Yeah.
But just only if I manage to knock him, Nuno or Nunes plays wide for playing from Wolves. Whenever you get 1 against 1, when I was taught as a kid, leave the wide man 1 against the fullback so he can run at him, go inside him, outside him, get across in the box. Now, Aaron, they get 1 against 1, sit back, go square, go back out the other side. If it was me, as a manager, every time you sit back and you go back inside when you're 1 against 1, you don't take the fullback on, 1 against 1, I'm going to fine you £5,000 a pop. Grealish, Doku, Nunes, Saka, the few wingers are out there, and give it all to charity because it would stop the fucking dickheads. 1 against 1, you'd work 90 minutes to get a wide man 1 against fullback, so it can go past him and make a goal for an opportunity. Not any fucking more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. There's a sense of not wanting to lose compared to wanting to win now, I find, in some people's mentality. So from Colchester, there was a few clubs in between the two spells, which you go into in the book. And there's 3 people in the book that you mention that any football fan will know. And I just want to touch on them briefly, if that's okay. The first one's David Moyes, who you played with at Cambridge. And you didn't like him, did you?
Well, how can you laugh? Not being brutal here, you've got a 6'3" ginger centre half holding your back 4 together. Born again Christian. Now, everyone's entitled to their whatever. Alan Comfort, left winger. Graham Daniels, who's a PFA Chapel, whatever you call it now. And Moyes, we got relegated. On paper, we had a good team, mate. Steve Schmidt, Steve Fallon, Andy Sinton. I was a handful. Robbie Cook was there for a while. But we had half of a backbone born again fucking Christians. So, unfortunately, Moyes didn't really see eye to eye because he wouldn't put his head in.
Mm-hmm.
And we got relegated that February, I think. Thinking, what the fuck's going on? We had great players on the pitch. John Ryan was the manager, the ex-Norwich, Man City, but he was poor, to be fair. And he made us into a pretty bad team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just because there was bit in the book as well where you've sort of come in after a defeat, and as you say, he's not really put himself about as much as you want your centre half to, and you've gone and you've confronted him about it, and his attitude was, what will happen will happen. That must be really frustrating to have come from a teammate.
Well, I was sat with Spriggsy. Spriggs was a good player, played a lot of league games. Steve Fallon was a rock solid centre back, had a good career at Cambridge. And I walked on the coach with a glass of Stella, which I brought out of the players' bar. So I've still got a pint of Stella. That was a 6x6 brigade. If you want to drink on the coach on the way back, you have to have 6 pints by 6 o'clock to get on the coach. Now, sometimes you've had an ankle thingy strapped something. It's like 6 pints in 45 minutes. So it was a bit lively.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to the fans, I said, fuck this. Alan Comfort was sat there. Lovely kid, Alan. Graham Daniels, a lovely kid. And David Moore sat on a table of 4. I said, fuck this. I've been fighting Colin Methven, Tony Kelly. Cannot remember the other centre back. Might have been Alex Jones. For an hour and a half, we got beat 4-3. We conceded in the last minute. I think that more or less got us relegated. So I got a bang, a lump on my head and a smack here and there and a fat lip. I said, bollocks, I'm going to give it to him. Speech said, big man, you can't. I said, I can't fucking watch this. So I walked back with this pint of Stella in my hand and I said, see you 3, blah, blah. What the fuck's going on there? You've been a bag of shit. You've been a bag of shit. And Graham Daniels, his contract expired in about 3 months at the end of the season. And he just had a baby with his wife. Fair play, blah, blah. So I said, Graham, your contract expires in 3 months' time. What the fuck are you going to do? Because the way you're playing and the way you go about things, it ain't going to happen to you, mate. So you're fucking out of a job. And he looks at the roof of the coach and he went, he will provide for us. Fuck me. I went berserk. I went, you fucking out. Said, that's it now. Forget it. So you 3, just fuck off. Get out of my way.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like 3 players is almost the backbone of your team.
And you say you went down with Cambridge that year as well. Do you feel like there was a possibility of staying up, or do you think you were too far gone?
To be fair, John weren't great. He was a flash Harry, John Ryan, and people know him. He came from Norwich. Where else had been Luton Town? Good player, great player. But as a manager, he wasn't great. And I've got it through work where I work now, Constance Direct. These people that work in the team, everybody wants to be led and they want a leader. Mm. That's why I got the player manager job at Colchester. I led from the front. And everyone loved me because I led from the front, blah, 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 and put my head on the block on many an occasion. Because if I'm having a shocker, how can I dig out players in the dressing room if I'm having a shocker? And looking back, Aaron, I had 1 or 2 off bits here and there, but I never really had a shocker because I couldn't afford to. Mm-hmm. And you look at it, so he's the leader. And listen, the players on the pitch, we had good players, but he just fell woefully short of what was expected. And I say the manager had a lot to do with it. But you don't need 3 key players in a side of 11, 3 outfield players that can read the Bible on the coach.
So that was David Moyes. The second person that I noticed in the book was Tony Pulis. Did Tony Pulis catch a right hook off of you?
Well, it's in the book. It's common knowledge. Yeah. That 8 ball we played, and Bobby Moore was the manager. We played him in the FA Cup at Runstall in an FA Cup replay. Newport County. And Bob heard me talking about Tony Pulis. He said, well, big man, what's all that? I said, well, Bobby spat in my face 7, 8 months ago. And I'll never forget it. You never forget that. Little Welsh little shit. He said, oh, big man. He said, oh, don't let me down. You won't let me down, will you? He said, we need 11 players on the pitch. But no, Bob, don't worry. But you heard me talking to a couple of the players about it. 7 minutes, 32 seconds. Right in front of the dugouts at Southend, in front of the director's box. Pulis took a first touch, bounced up his shin off his knee, into his chest, into his chin. Just above head on it. I went, fucking lovely. So he went into the Dragon. Bruce Lee was en vogue in all the films. I kung fu'd the ball, totally up, hoping to take his head off. And you know what? Aaron, he was so lucky. I missed him both feet. But I shot over his head, caught his shoulder. He went down like a bag of shit, straight red. So Bob said after, he said, big man, he said, 7 minutes, 32 seconds. And I told him he spat in my face, he said, and he just let it go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So did you find that you held grudges a little bit towards certain players throughout your career?
In general, no. I mean, I didn't mind a scrap. I like to fight, and you stand your corner, and people respect you. Steve Bruce, McCarthy, and fucking Sam Allardyce were scared to death of me, which I thought was fucking hilarious. Playing against Tony Adams, but you did gain some respect from the so-called tough guys because I didn't give a shit. I just put my head in. I put my body on the line because I'm protecting the ball for my team.
Yeah,
and that's sort of where I think over my career I gained a fair amount of respect because I had a go.
yeah, absolutely. And the third name, which does bring us to the second spell at Colchester as the player manager, I'm sure you know who I'm going to ask about, is Mr. Martin O'Neill, who you formed a bit of a rivalry with throughout that whole season in the double winning year. He accused you of sort of underhanded tactics, and you didn't bother you really. You absolutely went for him psychologically, and the rewards came out on the pitch as well. What was he so upset about? Because all I saw was underhanded tactics was what he tended to say. But what was it? What was it that you were supposedly doing?
He hated the fact, obviously, I'm on the pitch. Now, I like Martin now. He's got a great sense of humour. And it sounds bollocks out, but one New Year's Eve, when we were both managers, he phoned me up, he was going to Bristol Rovers. And looking back, he was on for about 40 minutes on New Year's Eve. I'm playing the next day. He wasn't playing, but he obviously is the manager. I think it was half often the assistant manager's job at Bristol Rovers. And then at the time, headstrong, we're top of the league. We're scoring goals left, right and centre, blah, blah, blah. Where he got it wrong, a local Colchester boy worked for Wickham newspaper in Wickham. So all the stories from me went to Martin, and all the stories from the Wickham paper came back to me from the lads who worked in the press. So the irony is the fact that he worked for Wickham, but he was a Colchester boy. Mm-hmm. So of course, built a bigger rivalry, blah, blah, blah. But Aaron, I do look back, I say I regret it. Bollocks, we won the double. So we won. The only thing, they won the Bob Lord's fucking Mickey Mouse trophy. But the irony, what's it called? The Grand Hotel in Brighton, end of the season awards for the Vauxhall Conference. So I went in mid-afternoon with my ex-wife, Steve McGavin, a couple of other lads, and James Bowles turned up mid-afternoon. We've been on the piss about 5 hours. So before the actual evening, I've had to bring down the FA trophy and the Vauxhall Conference trophy down the stairs to give it to reception before we went to the evening dinner in the Grand Hotel. And as I've come down the stairs, I stood on my toe. The top of the FA trophy fell down about 5 steps, spun round the corner. So I'm thinking, that's all right, I'll go and pick it up. As I got round the corner, Alan, who's at reception? Martin O'Neill and his wife. And I think his assistant manager and his wife. But the FA trophy toppy had hit Martin on the ankle. So as I come round the corner, 3 parts of the wing, because I've been on the piss for about 5 hours. Oh, and sorry, Martin, you couldn't pass me that, could you? So he did pick up the FA trophy, and I put it on the trophy and put both trophies in front of him on the reception desk and fucked off. Make matters even better, the table between us, people wouldn't know this, between the 2 clubs in the Grand Hotel, where all the clubs were being represented, there was a square table. I got Manager of the Year, McGann got Player of the Year, we got the FA trophy, we got the Vauxhall Conference, this, we got that. I said, Stevie, whenever I pick up a trophy, Martin's literally like 2 foot away, slammed the fucking trophy on the table and looking straight in the eye. So all the trophies picked up, bang, looks Marty straight in the eye. He was spitting feathers on me. So that was like a bit of a payback for me because obviously he used to dig me out of the press.
Yeah. I mean, that spell, so you came back initially, it was player assistant manager, wasn't it, for Atkins, and then he goes to Birmingham and you take over as the player manager.
Yeah.
You've touched on it briefly, but was it weird going from Roy the player to Roy the manager, or did the lads just take to it straight away?
Well, again, it's in the book. The day I got the job, and I knew I was in the mix, Ian put me into it. Charlie, what was his name? Charlie Simpson, physio. All the directors, Robert Jackson, Peter Powell. Charlie was a renowned character of Colchester for many, many years. They asked his opinion, we said, give it all. He's a winner, X, Y, Z. perhaps Charlie half got me the job. So I knew when I got the job on the Tuesday afternoon, got announced, we were playing house to town in a pre-season friendly. The reserves were the Hampton first team at in Easter Road, whatever you call it. So as I'm driving on my own, I've got the job. I go down the hill, Alsted. You go to Alsted from Colchester, you get to a set of lights, you turn right into the town, or left goes down the hill, big Boozer Hotel at the bottom, turn right takes the house of ground. I got to the bottom of a big 90-degree right turn, and the traffic lights changed. The whole first team squad come out of the bar. Been on piss all afternoon, sprayed my car with champagne, singing Big Roy blew up, all that nonsense. They were delighted I got the job, and I told them the next morning, and listen, we haven't got people who could fight. That division's a bunch of fucking idiots who want to fight you. I said, we're going to play from the back. We'll play 3 at the back. We'll play it on the deck. We'll go through the midfield. If you're struggling to hit me on the angle, don't hit me straight because I'm a sitting duck to the centre back. We're going to play. I said, guess what? You do it my way, we'll win this fucking league, and we'll have the biggest bean of our lives. We'll piss for 10 months.
I mean, it was a really successful season. Obviously, we won the conference, we won the FA trophy. But you say about getting the ball down and playing, it was a squad that you could do that with, wasn't it? Obviously, you had Kinsella, McGavin, Masters. There was some really good technical footballers in there. Do you think a combination of character and skill is sort of a winning formula in sides?
2 things Harry have to do. Eamon Collins at the time, I blew smoke up his arse for the first couple of months. Eamon was a great little player, brave on the ball, could make things happen here and there. But as the season went on, it gave me so much ag. And the problems I had with him because of the off-the-field antics caused me a lot of grief. I mean, Aaron, I didn't sleep for the first 2 minutes of the season because the head game there, got to go there. We're doing this. I'm taking training. I'm organising training, making sure they're all happy. But then come match day, you had to go work day, boom. But I didn't run around that much in those days, so I didn't have to. But looking back, all the players, when I told them, I looked after every single player individually. Warren Donald had a few problems. I brought in Jason Cook, who was a tough little kid from Southend. Paul Roberts, a great character. We luckily got Davey Martin on loan about December time off Dave Webb at Southend. So we had a good mix. But the mix was, Aaron, they fucking love me to death.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they love you, they'll run through brick walls for you. And to be honest, they all overachieved. Kinsella was a revelation, mate. 18 years of age. I played him every game. Played him 3 for once and twice because the kid was just a great player. Went on to captain his country in the World Cup finals.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I knew a player.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a really good side. And as you say, Kinsella sort of was a revelation. Masters obviously came up trumps at Wembley as well. McGavin obviously was great on the ball. All really, really good players. Do you stay up to date with Colchester now? Do you sort of have a little look at results here and there?
I always watch it. I've done a couple of podcasts and I've done a couple of after dinners at Southend. I think January, February, which was nice. I always look Colchester, Southend. And apart from it now, I did sort of follow Man City to all these wankers park the bus. So even Man City's a hard watch.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to see teams suffer when they're trying to win the game the right way. So I always check Southend. I check Warsaw once in a blue moon, but mainly it's Colchester, Southend. Just check how they're getting on still.
Yeah, what do you think of the state of things now with Danny and Nicky Cowley coming in? Do you think we've sort of taken a positive turn, or what's your opinion of the U's?
Let's be honest, mate. For the 4, 5, 6 years previous, it couldn't get any frigging worse.
No.
The man, and some of the great respect to Robbie, some of his decisions, I'm thinking, what on earth are you doing? But he always stuck by his decision, put his head on the block. What I don't understand is, as a chairman of a football club at a lower level, why do you want to turn up Saturday afternoon and have every fan hate you? Because literally, I don't think he's the most popular bloke in Colchester. Yes, he's kept the club afloat, but some of the things he's done and decision making, I think, what are you doing? Because all you're doing is you're riling up the crowd, and the crowd's been decent this year. Because Danny and Nicky, what they've done is, it was when I took over from Colchester, we made it a family community again. So the fans were the same as the players. I used to take the players into Colchester after a game and drink in the pubs with the fans. And it went a long way. They've done that pretty well, the two Cowley brothers.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think they ain't going to do what they're going to do again this year. I think they might struggle.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, it was something we spoke about on one of our sort of earliest podcasts, is that what Danny and Nicky have sort of done that I don't think we've had since John McGreal left, is that we haven't had a squad that had a bit of character to it. He picked up some players that had a bit about them within the dressing room, that Danny and Nicky themselves have got a bit of character to them as well. And I felt that since that John McGreal side that got the playoffs, Colchester was sort of lacking a bit of bite and a bit of oomph to them, which sort of, it then creates a little bit of animosity off the pitch as well. And obviously it's a shame that Southend didn't do the business against Oldham, because it would have been an Essex derby. And I know a lot of Colchester fans laugh and revel in the fact that Southend didn't come up, but you're sort of depriving yourselves of a derby game, which seems a bit alien to me.
Big crowds as well. I just think, but what you said, Aaron, but you look at the players now. I look at the Premier League, multi-millionaires, Rashfords, the Raheem Sterling's, mega millionaires. Then you come down the ranks, and they've all got the bleach blonde hairs like the Premier League players. But when you said characters, I don't think you find a single character. I watched some of the Salford team with the old 92 thing on Sky. And I look at the players, I go, Jesus Christ, I wouldn't have him anywhere near me. I said to my grandson, I said, he wouldn't get in the car park, let alone the freaking dressing room. And he laughed. He said, what do you mean, Granddad? I said, he wouldn't get in the car park. Yet these fucking idiots walk in there, first team players, all the fans love them. They got bleach blonde streaks and all that. I'm thinking, you earned that, mate. You earned the right to be one of the best players, one of the fans' favourites by a bit of bollocks, bit of grit, bit of determination, bit of fire, bit of fight, and fight to win games for your team. But Aaron, you won't see that again. You won't see that ever again, because it ain't going to happen.
I think they're not afforded the opportunity to now, are they? With the amount of phones and social media that follows players' every move, they're under a microscope all the time. They're not allowed to have a personality anymore.
The only thing is, Aaron, but if you're going to earn, like, I don't know, 350 grand a week, whatever's coming at you, you've got to take it.
Yeah.
You're earning mega money. Even in the National League now, some of the players in the National League are on 4 grand a week, 6 grand a month. But looking back when I played, I was 36, 37 playing in Vauxhall Conference. I should be shot to pieces. I was getting 300 quid a week, which was good money, to be fair, for training twice a week or just playing. But 3-4 grand a week now in the National League. But in the National League for a reason. With the greatest respect, you should be all the has-beens, because at 21, 22, you're any good, you go in the first division or championship, you earn the right to get a transfer to go higher up. But they think, well, at 4 grand a week, I'll just sit here and do what I've got to do.
Yeah, definitely. Roy, this has been brilliant, mate. I really, really appreciate you coming and talking about your career and your time at Colchester as well. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate it, mate. There we go. There is episode 1 of Beyond the Barside Meets with Colchester United legend Roy McDonough. Again, a huge thank you to Roy for taking the time out to chat to me and share a little insight into his career. And I'm very, very hopeful to chat to Roy again at some point in the future. There were lots of bits that sort of got cut off by the audio that you'll notice sort of the ending was a little bit abrupt, and the beginning we sort of started mid-conversation. So there were different stories that he told that the audio wasn't quite up to scratch to make it into the podcast. But I think what we have in there and the quality of what we've got in there is really good, considering it was recorded with a dictaphone. So yeah, huge thank you to Roy, and a huge thank you to yourselves for listening. Remember, if you're on Spotify, Apple or Amazon, a 5-star rating would be massive. It really helps push the podcast up in the charts and encourages more eyes and more ears onto the podcast, as well as leaving a comment or a like on YouTube. So I've been Aaron J, and we will be back again on Saturday with our regular version of Beyond the Barside. Thank you very much.